Welcome to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. It's me, Gene. Doc Talk is coming up next. We got All American Kayak Series recap. And if our guest stops by here this evening, we'll have a little rules clarification for you. Let's get her fired up. Happy Monday, folks. How the heck are you, man? I'm a little punchy here. I'm not going to lie. 11 and a half, 12 hours on the road getting back from Missouri today here. So we're just kind of floating around a little bit right now. Not as young as I used to be, man. Those miles start to get to you. Hey, man, what an amazing weekend we just had here. Talk about just a complete display of collaboration from so many moving parts, people, organizations, putting on a fantastic outing for the Romans Warrior Foundation Field Ops on Friday. And then, of course, the Moyak event went off. Huge field, well over 100 anglers in there for the Moyak event. All-American Kayak Series kicked off its season open there. There on Lake of the Ozarks with its 2-day event with a couple new format pieces in there that seemed to really check out well. Did all right. Seemed to be received pretty well. Man, it was just and just the local area, man. They just are so welcoming and super cool. Of course, huge shout out to Eco Fishing Shop for hosting us there. That was an awesome setup to be right there and having a dealer. I know a couple guys needed some stuff here and there, and Eco chipped in, took care of them, made sure they could compete for the weekend. So that's super cool. So we were going to recap through some of this here, and I'll do that with you here. We'll go through, and then if the schedule permits, still waiting on our guest here that should be joining us here in the studio. We're going to go over a couple things and try to clear a couple areas up here just to help people understand a little bit better. Because I know there were some questions that were in the pages and such. For what it's worth also, just to let you know, there has been some stuff on the technical side of things between StreamYard and Facebook. Facebook is no longer allowing third-party streaming to groups. So that's why we are broadcasting to where we're broadcasting now. They're working on some stuff right now behind the scenes, but it's not just StreamYard that was affected. It's all third party. So that's why we're not in the All-American group section right now. We're just broadcasting on the page there. But I know some of you don't care, but I know some of you might. So anyway, dude. So yeah, so let's get into it here. So a while back, one of the anglers out there in the All-American Kayak Series, Jimmy Burgess, he approached me after seeing one of our episodes with Clay Ragsdale, and we started talking. Next thing you know, fast forward ahead, we're putting together a veteran kayak fishing excursion for that Friday before the tournament. And as soon as Travis at Eco Fishing Shop heard about it, he wanted to get involved in that. Bud's Baits is right there. We're going to be working with Bud's. It looks like probably for something at Table Rock is what we're going to try to line that up with them. They're out of Joplin, and Table Rock's a little bit closer to them. But Eco Fishing Shop stepped up. And then, of course, we had a few of our teammates here in Stony Floyd. He stepped in. John Denton and his entire family supporting the projects out there. And even Fitz Fishing and Tackle Supply, they wanted to get in and try to help out. So they donated some tackle and some swag and such. Man, there's just so many people all coming together. Stony donated a bunch of rods and reels that the guys got to take home with them as well. Super cool. And of course, Jimmy allowed the usage of his second kayak as well. So we used a kayak from them, and then Jimmy chipped in with a kayak there. So we were able to take a couple guys out on Friday and go out and just spend some time on the water, man, and introduce them to something that we all absolutely fall in love with, which is fishing, and just kind of let Mother Nature, take its course, man, and do what it does. And it was amazing. It was an awesome outing. Then we went out to lunch. Highlander public house there in Camdenton. They even took care of us when we got over there, man. They were fantastic. If you're in the Camdenton area, highly suggest that place. Insane onion rings coming from that joint, man. You should see those things. It's amazing. They look like arm floaties. They're huge. But I didn't get them, but one of the other guys did. But yeah, great food, great people, and good stuff. So all around, it was a fantastic day on that Friday. And then, of course, competition kicked in, man. We got it going. So looks like the man himself is here. I see him in the green room here. So let's go ahead and bring him in, and then he and I together can kind of recap that stuff. Let's bring in. Let's go mouse work. There we go. Mr. Joshua Boothe. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Can you hear me all right?
Oh yeah, you're hitting 5x5.
Right on, right on.
I already warned everybody out there, man. I'm a little punchy right now. Things are a little floaty, after 12 hours on the road, and I've been up. I got on the road about 3:30 there that time. I just couldn't sleep anymore, so I was like, screw it, let's go. And then stopped and snoozed a couple times on the way here, but
It's been a long week.
it has. It's been there's been a lot of stuff going on there, man. But I was just recapping this. We got up to day one competition, the Moyak event, man. That was freaking awesome. 100+ anglers showing up. Dudes, guys and gals having a blast out there. You could tell. I mean, people were certainly enjoying in the field, man. They just put up some fish. I'll be honest with you. I didn't see any of the results on the Moyak side. It wasn't. I was watching the All American stuff. How did that look, man? How did it all check down?
Oh, there's a lot of people that caught a ton of fish. It was basically the same thing. They were all catching those medium-sized fish, those 14s and 15s and such. And then every once in a while, they get a nice little big kicker in there too. So, yeah, it was a good season opener for sure.
Yeah. One of the cool things I really enjoyed too, like getting a chance to meet Elvis in person again. I mean, he and I met at Boji last year, but this was cool in this setting at the awards that we got a chance to actually talk, and he was sharing a lot of his advice and ideas on forward facing stuff. So it was super cool meeting a lot of these people that I've only met otherwise online. That's a lot of fun. That networking piece is super cool. And that's a big crowd to do so. What
Mhm.
was the big fish for Moyak? Do you remember by chance, off the top of your
Uh,
head?
yeah. No, I can't remember.
Yeah, no.
I can
um,
check real quick. Yeah, I think it was 21 and a half. I
wow.
think it was by Troy Neidiger, who he ended up with 92.25 total for that one day.
So we should tell him now that had he gotten in the All American, he would have taken Big Bass for the All American too. Had he jumped in, because I think our Big Bass was 20.5.
Oh, it's 21 and three quarters. Yeah, Shane Coon had a 21 and three quarters. He's the one that he won Big Bass in Moyak. My bad.
Gotcha.
I got him backwards. Keep getting them mixed up.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah, he had a 21 and three quarter inch in Moyak, and he won Big
Wow,
Bass.
that's a big fish. Found, the buck bass seemed like the ones that were on the move for sure. Because that day one, the morning started off a little slow, but man, as soon as that sun got up just a little bit, and I think got over some of those bluffs and hit that water, started warming things up. Man, it just took off. I don't think you were able to get your head out of that laptop for like 6 to 7 straight hours.
No, it was ridiculous how many fish came through. I mean, on Saturday alone, there was over 60 limits caught in Moyak, and I think yeah, 500 and nearly 550 fish submitted just on that side alone. And we also had the team side was going, and then the All American was going. There's another two or three hundred there as well. So it was definitely they were coming in hot and heavy. Even though the conditions weren't that good, it was pretty windy. We just had some storms roll through the week before, so a lot of the water was blown out and pretty muddy and nasty. So it was definitely a challenge to kick off the season.
Well, and as the day went on, everybody was reporting the wind, started to pick up. And we saw that weather report from day one to day two, and we were thinking, oh no, man, there was one I was looking that was calling for rain that night at like 1 a.m. And I'm thinking, wow, and the wind was going to get, even worse. And then we wake up And as soon as the sun comes up, it's like, this is amazing. The weather was beautiful. Just a slight little breeze, and then she just like opened up on the guys,
Yeah,
out there
just a tease,
completely. Yeah, because
but
that's
it didn't slow the guys down from catching fish for the most part.
right, right. Yeah, the limits, man. I was looking at the All American results from that. Over half of the field put up their 10 fish. With another guy that came in 20th. Trey Dawson had 9 on the board there, and he even came in 20th with that. So there was a couple more people with 9 fish, all the way down to 26th place out of 44 anglers. Man, people were finding them for sure. They were getting in patches of them. The bigs were just the tough thing to track down for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting seeing, talking to people, because I tried talking to a few people there, and I asked them, did their strategy change at all with the 10 fish, type thing, and they pretty much said no. The only difference is they didn't worry about saving anything for day 2. They just kept fishing, type deal.
Yeah, I kind of heard a lot of the same feedback, and the fact too that they didn't get bummed out on day 1 if they didn't do so well, because they knew they were still right there in it.
Right.
Which I think it worked out pretty well.
There was one guy that made a good point, but it's okay. This is the one that we actually talked about in the off season that we were okay with. And there is something to be said for, when you have the 5 fish one day, 5 fish next day, that system rewards the consistent, angler that can go find 5 each day. Mm-hmm. We get that. It picks up the competition level piece. This piece here, however, keeps people more in it. It does make it a little bit more exciting, and the whole point that we wanted to do was just encourage people to keep fishing, man, and stay out there, stay with us. Just because you have one bad day, you already spent 4 days here. Don't take off early. Stay in it. You never know what can happen. And we had several people cashing checks that were out of the checks on day 1, but because day 2 they were able to bounce back, come back stronger, And, there's a flip side argument to this, is that let's say, look in football, man, you got a crappy first half. How many teams have come back in the second half and been able to win the game? You know what I mean? It's like that makes for exciting stuff, and that's that. So I can tell you as a spectator, it was super cool. Just watching it.
I think the guys that were there actually fishing it too, I think for the most part, they enjoyed it as well. So that was good to see.
Yeah, man. And that's, biggest piece is open this up to feedback and hear what people had to say about it, as time goes on too. That'll be always good to kind of take that through. But yeah, so day 2, more wind, but still put up a bunch of fish, still got out there. We had in the top 5, so Missouri took first and second, but then we had our 3rd place, Minnesota. 4th place was Missouri, and then 5th place was Nebraska. So we had, several states being represented in there. Elvis just chimed in, the new firm, it makes it worth our investment when we're coming from out of state, right? And there's a
lot of benefits to it. I know it's weird, it's strange, it's different, and everybody doesn't like change, but it's just kind of a fun, different type of style of tournament. I get that, the standard 2 days, like you were talking about, how that does 5 fish one day, 5 fish. That's another style of tournament. That's cool. That's great too. This is just something a little bit different.
Totally. I love the fact that it does give us a separation, right? Just we've said this before. We're not trying to compete with Bass and Hobie, man. They got their show, they got their money, they're doing what they're doing, but we're also over here doing what we're doing in a different section of the country with a different, so some similar anglers, obviously. But yeah, it's good stuff. So far, it's checking out. Lots. It was cool. We had what did we count out? I think 8 different states represented coming into the All American. 8 anglers from 8 different states around. That's awesome to see. What's up, Andrew? Stopping in here with Dirty Details. If you're up in the southern Minnesota area, get a hold of those guys if you need something detailed out. RV, boat, camper, horse wagon. Andrew's got you covered, man. He'll detail it. I'm sure of the horse wagon thing. I'm almost positive of that. He's going to throw something at me if not. But yeah, that was another cool aspect, is just seeing the different states in there. Next up, obviously, is the Classic. Um, Small point of interest for folks out there. The Classic is separate from the series. It's its own entity. Yes, it was born from the series,
Hmm.
obviously, but the Classic is, or maybe it was the other way around, actually.
Right, the other way
Yeah,
around. The classic is the beginning.
yeah. And so it's kind of its own entity. So in the Classic, it's not the 10 fish format thing. It's not that. It's 5 fish one day, 5 fish the next day. And it's on this Classic this year is on Friday and Saturday is when we're doing it.
Hmm.
So that's there's a confusion point sometimes that people get confused with that. But let's see. So yeah, he actually said he did a wagon last week. See, I knew it, man. Good stuff. All right, so let's just go ahead and jump right into it, because this was kind of, it was it was a little bit funny, just because that there was a kind of, you almost got the feeling that there was this thought that this was something new. But matter of fact, it's been around for since day one, and it's always been this way. This just happens to, perhaps our new format kind of exposes it. And what we're talking about was this same fish being submitted on different days. I want to share something with folks just to make sure they understand, because I was even confused on it myself, because I thought the wording was different, but it's not. As soon as you read the wording, it's very clear, and words matter. Let's see. We're going to share screen. We're going to share one window. This guy. So we're going to bring this up. The thing we're talking about is right here. That section right there. Each fish can only be submitted once per day. That was the question that was posed. That is not a new rule. That has been there since, I think, this version of the rule
Hmm.
set has been around.
Yeah.
And that's the reason that perhaps it hasn't been, and you could answer this, Josh, because I don't know the answer to this, because I've never judged a 2-day event. When you open the judging, when you're looking at a fish on a 2-day event and it's day two, and the angler's fish comes up there, does it show day one submissions right next to it?
Yeah, it's a list of
Okay,
them right down below where I can actually click on the day a fish from day one and compare it to a fish on day two as well. That is
perfect.
possible. That is possible. They're all
Okay.
kind of mixed up. They're not in a really specific order, but you can find them if you go through it and look. Yes.
Right. Now, I've judged a single day event out here in Colorado, and the first thing I'm looking for is the common denominator, clearly, which is the identical measurement, right? Someone submits a 19.25 or a 17.5, and I see another 17.5. I'm going to go look at that, and I'm going to pick it up and take a peek. Is that commonplace, basically, even for the 2-day stuff?
Yeah, and it's a lot easier on the one day, because they're right there next to each other, and you can compare timestamps as well. And the markings, Attorney X does a great job of allowing you to compare fish to really zoom in on specific markings on those fish and tell whether or not they are the same. So yeah,
Right.
it's Attorney X does a good job in that area.
Now, I think what's important to also know, though, to consider in this, and I think this is where maybe some folks were seeing some stuff. Hang on one second here. We're going to stop that screen and we're going to present this screen. With our new format, that's what you see is
Yeah, and that
all 10.
I think that's causing a lot of the confusion because in reality, the way we are wanting to run the all or way we are running the All American Kayak Series this season, this format, Tourney X can't do it. I've talked to Dwayne Wally about it, and it's just not in their programming right now set up to where we can do one day at one time in time, and then the other day, a 2-day event with separate in times. They have to be the same. And so I have to manually go in after the end of day one and change the times and track, photo submission time and set the tournament up to where it's kind of set up like a one long tournament with a break in between. it's kind of complicated. There's a lot to it. We found a workaround to where we could still use Tourney X and use this format,
Yep.
and it does work. I know that all day long I have double and triple checked. There are no rules violations by any anglers. Just it looks weird on there,
Yep.
and like you said, the rule of the one fish per day, it really only comes into play during the spawn, and it is kind of weird. It is different than what the big series do, like Hobie and Bassmaster. They'll track it from day one to day two, and they have the same end time, so it makes it a little bit easier to see on Tourney X. But at the same time, we had some feedback last year from anglers that actually wanted this change clarified in the rules, and so that's why we did clarify one fish per day. Now I get it. I see both sides of the story about whether it's a good rule or a stupid rule, but it's the rule, and everybody has the same rule, and it was in place long before this tournament started, and everybody had the opportunity to read these rules and understand the rules. Now, I get it that some people don't like it. There's rules that I don't like too. We don't all like every rule that's presented in front of us. As an angler myself, I do not like the rule of a designated launch list if I'm going to go fish some of the other series that have that requirement. I don't like it. I think it takes away from the sport. That's part of the challenge, is getting out there and finding those launches. But that's my opinion. And I'm not going to get out there and complain about these other series that their rules need to change to accommodate me. So I'm just going to accept the rules. I know what they are, and I'm going to play by the rules. And so
Yep.
that's all we've got here. That's the rule that's in place. Whether it's the best rule or not, it's there. We're not going to change it after a tournament's already started and points have been assigned. It's going to be this way for the rest of the season. Should we address it in the off season? Absolutely. And we will. And we'll make any adjustments then, if that's what we need to do. But for now, I mean, that's just the rule. I get some of the complaints about it. It's
Sure.
legit, but everybody's doing the same thing, and it's really only going to affect spawning fish. And everyone, if you think someone's going to have an advantage by sitting on 5 different beds and catching those 5 fish one day and then going back the next day and catching those 5, that's pretty hard to do, but it is possible, I guess. But you can do it too. Go find you 5 beds. It's part of the rules. Take advantage of the rules, but compete without breaking the rules. So, I mean, that's really all I got to say about it. Whether it's the best rule or not, I don't know, but it is what it is for this season. So,
No, man, you said it best. The bottom line is you and I talked about it. It's like we have our opinion on it even right now. But the fact of the matter is, let's reiterate this and make sure that everybody's very clear on this. There were no rules violations that took place. These anglers did absolutely nothing wrong. Okay. We actually kind of, we thought there was, and then we looked and clarified it. And we're like, hey, you know what? No, that is actually per the rule set. And yeah, we have to adhere to the rules that are currently, in place out there. And that is what it is. But like you said, man, we'll address it in the off season. For those folks out there that maybe have a challenge with it, highly encourage you at the end of the season when we're asking for feedback and such, bring it back up. Put it back on the list here. I'm sure we'll remember it, because obviously day one, you come out the gates and there's some questioning, about the stuff. And again, I think another point of interest to make sure of that you understand is this has been here and this has probably been getting done in the previous years. It was just not so easily seen and transparent as it is now. That's the difference, because to all those of us that are just looking out here, from at the scoreboards themselves, you're probably not going to notice it as easy as what you can now. So
yeah, the scoreboard looks a lot different now. And I mean, this statement's not really pertinent to anything, but of the anglers I talked to that had, the multiple fish, one day and caught on the other day, they weren't bed fishing. They were on the same area and fishing the same sections of the lake, but the water was so muddy and they were just cruising and catching them out of brush piles in different areas and stuff. So I haven't heard of a single person that was actually bed fishing. I mean, but
that would have been crazy if we would have found that many beds, because
it's weird. The whole thing is weird. It doesn't happen that often. I mean, this kind of a situation where people are going to catch multiple fish, and then
right.
It's rough this time of the year with the rules.
For sure. for sure.
Because also should that one fish only be able to be counted in the tournament one time or per day. What if 5 or 6 other people come up on that same bed and catch the same fish and start submitting it? It goes down a rabbit hole.
I was gonna
So
say, man, how the heck do you do that for? Say, let's
yeah,
say
you
you're putting up
can't.
125 anglers, on a 2-day event. How in the heck are you gonna cross reference that,
You'd have to
across the
check
board?
every fish of every measurement. That's kind of, we don't really have the technology for that yet. But
Yeah. The only other thing I would say on this is that there are some folks that have a very conservation, driven mind, and they don't appreciate, that type of fishing and so forth. And I get that and respect the hell out of that. That's
mhm.
awesome. But you have to remember the last thing you want to do is get involved in an organization that is trying to regulate ethics. Okay. Um, you know, there's etiquette that anglers can utilize, and there's etiquette that they don't utilize. Like the rule says, how close are you allowed to get to the other guy fishing? But at the same time, you see dude fishing up a bank. No, there's no rule that says you can't cut him off 100 yards in front of him. But that's kind of a jerk move, man, especially if you see a guy working a bank up there. It's angler etiquette at that point. This kind of falls in that same regard, so if it's not for you, it's not for you. And I totally respect that completely. But we have to be careful that we don't start throwing out rules just to have rules. And you have to, I think there's a quick and easy fix for this. We talked about it. It's one word change, that would blip, swap that around. But again, that'll have to be on, what comes up during the off season and feedback from everybody. But yeah, put the pitchforks down and the torches. This has been here. It's not new. Relax. It's okay. It's been in play before. So
Yeah, and I would also suggest that everybody, it doesn't matter what tournament you're signing up for, make sure you read the rules thoroughly, every single bit. I mean, it may take you 15, 20 minutes to sit there and go through it all, but you need to be aware of every single detail. There could be something in there that could help you. There could be something in there that you might, that could hurt me. So you need to be aware of all the rules so that you're in compliance with everything at all times. And there's shouldn't be no issues.
Thanks, Jeremy. That was really the whole point of what we were trying to do, for sure, is to clarify it. And that's right. And that when you get a chance to read through that stuff, you if you got questions, that's the time to ask them. Right? Hit us in between stuff when things aren't so busy and hot and heavy. That's the best time. We appreciate the questions during like this time.
Mhm.
That's easy for us to handle. Inbound stuff. A little bit harder right in the middle, yeah, because folks, I'll tell you right now, we went around to try to get some photos and such of see if we could find a few launches and get some photos of some of the guys that were out there. And so we went to a couple places the whole time. This guy here that's joining us had his hotspot running on his laptop with his head in his laptop, judging fish the whole time we were driving around. The fish were flowing, man, and it was just, it was an all-day move to try to get that stuff judged out. So
Yeah, in some of these bigger tournaments with a lot of anglers, um, judging can be a difficult thing. There's a lot of fish coming in. You need one, two, sometimes maybe three people just sitting in front of a computer all day long.
yeah, and that's the piece there. You called in the extra support
Yep.
when needed.
We even had backup that come in. Yeah.
That's right. But yeah, well, cool, man. And I don't see there's no other questions being dropped up here. I really anticipated. I thought some folks would have some questions and that would be showing up in this. Although I don't know if you heard at the very beginning, Facebook and third-party streaming software doesn't play nice together anymore when it comes to groups. You
Oh,
can't. StreamYard is one of those things. You can't stream a broadcast to a group page any longer. It can only go to pages. So of our two All Americans, we have the private group. We can't broadcast live into that. That can't be a destination anymore. So we'll have to just put it here.
hmm.
We can share it in there, but they're working on some stuff right now to find a workaround to make it play nice again. But I
That
don't
may
know.
have been what the cause was of us losing the Moyak live feed from StreamYard on Saturday. That kind of vanished a little bit.
Yep, could be. Yeah, because you can't pipe to groups, and so it blows up on stuff, and so we're working on some stuff with that with the paddle and fin right now. At least I am on my side. But well, cool, man. Yeah, like I said, I've been kind of sitting here stretching things out, seeing if we get any more questions coming through, and it doesn't look like there was any here.
If anybody has any questions about the rules or anything, just shoot me a message and I'll try my best to explain it why. But I mean, everything is set and good to go for the year.
Thanks, Collins. We appreciate it, man. He does. He busts his ass, man. There's so much. I have learned so much watching you, Josh, this off season, working with you and Troy, man. There is so much that goes into this that is, you would think some of these things, and we all agree they should be a lot easier than they are, but you do it for the love of the sport. You do it for the love of the anglers, and try to create something cool, man. And you're doing it for sure.
Awesome. Yep.
So, all right, buddy. Well, you go spend some time with the family there. We're going to wrap things up on this one. It's a short one this week.
Yeah, I got to go do payouts, and then I got to get some more pictures posted. So my job's still not done yet.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Hey, and any of you folks watching here or watching this when it's recorded, when it's coming back, absolutely do a photo dump. Any cool photos you got when you're out there, videos, if you got any of the wind and such when you're out there. We don't want to stop, brother. That's why we're doing it. We want to keep going. And I agree with you 150%. The Midwest does need the All-American. There's no question.
Let's show out Okoboji and put up some big numbers and make that the biggest one of the year.
Right? That's the best way to do this. The anglers all get together. Let's work with that local club to make this happen. And yeah, man, let's put 100 people. Watch the payouts. You put 75 to 100 anglers on an All-American deal, the payouts are going to make other people stand up and go, what the heck? Because I still want to. Yeah. We had 44 guys in first place, won $2,300, man. Second place took 1,600. Third place 1,100. Fourth place took 800. I mean, fourth place basically still paid for their trip.
Yeah, and fifth place got that Z Pro lithium battery too.
Hell yeah, man! And that's impressive stuff. That's awesome there, and that's why it's that juggling act, right? The $200 entry fee. People are not too sure what to think about that. Well, that's the reason we want to make it worth your while, man, and we want to pay out positions there and get you some money when you do well for sure. So. Well, awesome stuff. Yeah, that's let's go ahead and get this stuff. Like I said, we'll turn you loose there, and then
thanks, man.
You bet. Thank you for stopping by, brother.
All right. See you.
Right. Talk to you. All right, folks. So that's going to do it, man. It's a short one. Like I said, I'm hazy and road worn out here, so we're going to go ahead and tie this guy up. That's about 30 minutes. That's not a bad deal. If you have any questions. Any type of stuff that that you're not clear on, or if you have some, obviously suggestions, always hit us up, man. DM us up, hit us here. Be sure to check out the podcast on YouTube. Check out the Paddle and Fin podcast. A lot of great content they have out there. And All-American next up, like I said, the next series events, Boothe. That's in May. You don't want to miss this. Boothe ends up on Bassmasters, like usually in the top 10 of their top bass lakes in the country. Every year, if you look it up, Okoboji is listed in that almost every year, and it's the guys and gals that have gone there in the past. They'll tell you it is a bucket list destination. It's a place where you can have a ton of fun through the tournament stuff up there, and that's going to be a big club that's going to be joining us up there. That new Iowa has joined forces. They got a great presence up there, so we should have a lot of cool stuff. We'll have more information as far as who our hosts are going to be and all that good stuff coming up later. As always, folks, thank you so much for the subscribes, all the good stuff. Oh, look at that live camera action. I just slapped my desk and it fell down. We appreciate all the support for you guys. Tight lines, y'all. Be safe.